Back in the 1970s and 1980s, Little House on the Prairie was a cherished family favorite. It painted a picture of simple pioneer life, family values, and heartfelt lessons that resonated deeply with audiences around the world. But while the series radiated warmth and innocence on screen, what unfolded behind the camera often told a very different story. The beloved television classic became a cultural touchstone, bringing nostalgia and emotion to millions who grew up watching it. For many fans, it represented childhood memories and the comfort of a bygone era. Yet beneath the charm and moral storytelling, the cast and crew experienced their fair share of tension, pranks, and personal struggles that contrasted sharply with the show's wholesome image. For instance, the on-screen rivalry between Laura Ingalls and Nellie Oleson couldn't have been more different from real life. While their characters constantly clashed, actresses Melissa Gilbert and Allison Arngrim quickly became inseparable friends behind the scenes. They met in the makeup trailer, bonded over shared humor, and often organized mischievous pranks that kept the set lively. Their genuine friendship offered a dose of joy amid the long and demanding filming schedule. Not every relationship on set was so light-hearted, however. Arngrim once revealed that her on-screen husband, Percival, was a bit too affectionate with other cast members, creating some awkward situations for the much younger and more innocent Gilbert. These moments were just small glimpses into a larger pattern of off-screen drama that most viewers never knew existed. As production continued, the pressures of filming and fame began to surface in unexpected ways. Alcohol use became a quiet but significant part of the set culture, with many crew members drinking heavily to unwind after long shooting days. Michael Landon, the show's leading man, director, and creative force, was especially known for his fondness for liquor. He reportedly started mornings with Irish coffee and often kept drinking through the day. Crew members joked that hundreds of beer cans would vanish daily on set. The atmosphere was far from the serene image of Walnut Grove. Behind the curtain there was laughter, exhaustion, loyalty, and pain, a reminder that even the most idyllic television families sometimes hid very human flaws. Although Little House on the Prairie projected a sense of harmony and family unity, life off-camera was far more complicated. One of the most touching and turbulent relationships behind the scenes was that between Melissa Gilbert and Michael Landon. Gilbert, who lost her biological father at a young age, saw Landon as a surrogate dad. He nurtured her career, guided her through the pressures of child stardom, and often told her that he loved her like his own daughter. Their connection was genuine and heartfelt, extending beyond the professional relationship they shared on screen. However, that bond was tested when Landon's personal life made headlines. He left his longtime wife for Cindy Clarico, a makeup artist from the show. The scandal shocked the cast, but none took it harder than Gilbert. Feeling betrayed and confused, she distanced herself from Landon for years. Yet time eventually softened the pain. When Landon was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, Gilbert reached out to reconcile, and they shared a heartfelt reunion before his passing in 1991. Later, as a tribute, she named one of her children after him, a testament to forgiveness and the enduring impact he had on her life. Beyond personal relationships, addiction quietly shadowed the show's production. Alcohol was a constant presence, often flowing freely during filming days. While it began as a way to ease nerves and build camaraderie, it sometimes led to tension and unpredictable behavior. Landon's drinking became particularly visible, and some believed it contributed to his later health decline. Despite such struggles, Landon's creative genius kept the show alive. Adapted from Laura Ingalls Wilder's memoirs about life on the American frontier, Little House on the Prairie celebrated resilience and hope. But the real pioneer experience was far harsher than the series suggested, filled with isolation, relentless labor, and tragedy. The television version, while romanticized, gave viewers comfort during a turbulent era and helped solidify the myth of the wholesome American family. In truth, the people who brought that story to life were as complex as the characters they portrayed. Their friendships, Heartaches and conflicts shaped not just the show's legacy, but the very emotions that made it so unforgettable. Michael Landon was much more than just the face of Little House on the Prairie. He was its engine, writing, directing, producing, and starring as the steadfast Charles Ingalls. Before creating the show, Landon had already built a television legacy through his 14-year run on Bonanza, where his natural charisma and emotional depth made him a household name. When Little House premiered in 1974 through a partnership with NBC producer Ed Friendly, Landon's vision brought Laura Ingalls Wilder's frontier tales to life, transforming them into one of television's most beloved family dramas. Yet behind the scenes, Landon was a man of contradictions. Born Eugene Maurice Orowitz to a Catholic mother and Jewish father in New York, he adopted the stage name Michael Landon as his career took off. Though he often played deeply spiritual characters, his own beliefs were more nuanced, a personal mix of heritage and private faith rather than devotion to any organized religion. Landon's early life was marked by turmoil. He grew up in an unstable household, haunted by his mother's struggles with mental health and repeated suicide attempts. Those experiences left deep emotional scars, manifesting in childhood anxiety and even physical symptoms like chronic bedwetting, a topic he later addressed candidly in the biography Michael Landon, His Triumph and Tragedy. These early hardships would eventually shape the compassion and complexity he brought to his storytelling. Behind his confident screen presence, Landon was meticulous about his appearance. His trademark wavy brown hair, admired by fans, wasn't entirely natural. He began going gray in his 20s and regularly dyed it with Clairol products. Under the California sun, however, the color often faded to a purplish tint, forcing him to rely on professional colorists to maintain his youthful look. He once joked that he could have been the perfect Clairol spokesman. Despite the pressure of juggling multiple roles, Landon fostered a lighthearted atmosphere on set. His sense of humor, love of pranks, and genuine care for his cast, especially the younger actors, made him both a mentor and a father figure. But his perfectionism could also make him demanding, and not everyone thrived under his intense work ethic. Still, his artistry and dedication ensured that Little House on the Prairie would endure as one of the most heartfelt dramas in television history. While the cast of Little House on the Prairie brought heartwarming family bonds to the screen, real-life relationships behind the scenes were far more layered. Some cast members became lifelong friends, while others barely spoke once the cameras stopped rolling. The mix of personalities, pressures, and fame inevitably created friction, the kind that even Michael Landon's fatherly leadership couldn't always smooth over. One of the most talked-about tensions was between Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura Ingalls, and her on-screen sister, Melissa Sue Anderson, who portrayed Mary. In Gilbert's memoir, Prairie Tale, she described Anderson as distant and difficult to connect with. While Laura and Mary appeared inseparable on television, Gilbert recalled their off-screen relationship as cold, saying that Anderson's aloofness made her feel unwelcome. Allison Arngrim, who played the mischievous Nellie Oleson, once joked that Gilbert warned her, "Watch out for Melissa Sue Anderson. She's evil. I hate her. She tried to kill me." Though said in jest, it revealed the strain that existed among the show's young stars. Feuds weren't limited to the younger cast. Catherine McGregor, who played the sharp-tongued Harriet Olsen, was notorious for giving unsolicited advice on acting, props, and blocking. While her suggestions were often useful, they rubbed some colleagues the wrong way. Arngrim later wrote in her memoir, Confessions of a Prairie Bitch, that McGregor's constant corrections could be both helpful and exhausting. Even Michael Landon wasn't immune to conflict. Karen Grassel, who played the gentle and loyal Caroline Ingalls, clashed with him during contract negotiations after she requested a fairer salary. Landon, balancing his roles as actor, director, and producer, took the demand personally. Grassel recalled that the atmosphere turned chilly after their disagreement, though she continued to admire Landon's dedication and acknowledged how much he carried on his shoulders. Meanwhile, family ties created their own peculiar challenges. Jonathan Gilbert, who portrayed Willie Olson, Nellie's mischievous brother, was actually Melissa Gilbert's adopted brother in real life. That meant the two sometimes had to perform scenes that felt a little too close for comfort. After the show ended, Jonathan left Hollywood entirely and pursued a quieter career as a stockbroker, while Melissa stayed in the public eye as an actress, author, and later political candidate. The show's success was built on teamwork, but like any family, real or fictional, Little House on the Prairie had its share of growing pains. Despite the occasional feuds and tense negotiations, Little House on the Prairie wasn't all drama. In fact, behind the scenes, laughter and playful antics were common, especially thanks to Michael Landon's mischievous spirit. He was known for loving practical jokes and often encouraged younger cast members to join in, creating moments of fun amidst long, exhausting filming days. Melissa Gilbert and Allison Arngrim, who were close friends off-camera, often teamed up to prank other cast members. One memorable incident involved wrapping a toilet seat in plastic wrap, leaving unsuspecting colleagues in fits of laughter when they discovered it. Gilbert also recalled catching frogs with Rachel Greenbush during breaks, pretending to feed them to Landon before letting the frogs hop across the set. These playful interactions helped break up the monotony of shooting under heavy costumes and long hours in the Arizona heat, where temperatures frequently reached the 90s. Costumes and wigs also presented unique challenges. Arngrim's iconic curly hair for Nellie Oleson wasn't natural. She wore a custom wig secured with metal combs and pins, which often caused discomfort and scalp irritation. Heavy pioneer clothing, including petticoats, long skirts, and blouses, compounded the difficulty, especially during outdoor shoots. Despite the discomfort, the cast maintained professionalism while embracing these playful behind-the-scenes moments. Some on-set mishaps became legendary. Bloopers and continuity errors were frequent, often due to recycled footage, reused props, or practical jokes. For example, in one episode, a dummy used for a stunt fall was accidentally left visible on the grass, creating an amusing error for observant viewers. Stock footage, reused quilts, and props occasionally led to minor inconsistencies, such as quilts appearing on multiple beds or modern hairstyles clashing with the 1870s setting. Yet these imperfections only added charm to the production. As filming progressed into the later seasons, Landon shifted more attention to directing and producing, overseeing the show's continuation as Little House, A New Beginning. He remained a guiding force for the cast, balancing the responsibilities of creativity and mentorship. Many of the young actors fondly remembered Landon's humor and guidance, noting that his fatherly presence offered reassurance during intense or emotionally challenging scenes. Even with on-set tensions, practical jokes, and costume challenges, the cast developed genuine bonds. Gilbert and Arngrim's friendship, Landon's mentorship, and the shared experiences of filming in challenging conditions all contributed to a unique, memorable environment. Behind the scenes, Little House on the Prairie was a place of laughter, learning, and camaraderie, a more complex, human story than the idyllic Walnut Grove audiences saw on screen. While Little House on the Prairie transported viewers to a romanticized 19th-century frontier, the series often sacrificed historical accuracy for storytelling convenience. One recurring example was Laura Ingalls' prolonged pregnancy. Melissa Gilbert and fan site creator Lenny Parker noted that Laura seemed to remain pregnant for more than a year across multiple seasons, far longer than would have been realistic. Gilbert joked that the character's never-ending pregnancy became a running gag, highlighting the quirks of long-running television timelines. Other historical inconsistencies appeared in plot lines and props. In a Season 8 episode, Nellie Olson's restaurant faces a franchise conflict, referencing Colonel Sanders and Kentucky Fried Chicken. A clear anachronism, as KFC was not founded until the 1950s. Nevertheless, cast members frequently enjoyed fried chicken during dinner scenes, and Gilbert later confirmed in her cookbook that KFC was regularly eaten on set. Meals often included classic comfort foods like chicken and dumplings, beef stew, biscuits, pies, and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, with leftovers shared freely among the cast and crew. Bloopers and continuity errors were common as well. Filming in Tucson, Arizona during summer made wearing heavy pioneer costumes, petticoats, long skirts, bonnets, and long-sleeve blouses grueling. Episodes sometimes featured mistakes, such as characters indoors wearing no coats during winter scenes or dummies for stunts left in plain view. Props were frequently reused to save costs. A quilt with a double wedding ring pattern appeared on multiple beds, and stock footage was inserted into episodes as flashbacks, occasionally causing visible continuity lapses. Costumes and wigs presented additional challenges. Arngrim's Nellie wig, with its elaborate curls, often caused pain and scalp irritation, while Gilbert's character sported hairstyles that were frequently longer and more modern than the era warranted. In one stunt, Albert was pushed off a train using a dummy, but the stuntman was visible in the background, a humorous oversight for eagle-eyed viewers. Even minor details, like visible tree branches or props inconsistent with the 1870s setting, slipped through the editing process. The series finale, The Last Farewell, introduced another timeline inconsistency. Set in 1901, it placed the main characters in their 60s or 70s, despite children introduced in later seasons barely appearing to age. The real-life Charles Ingalls had passed away in 1902, highlighting the show's occasional disregard for historical precision. Yet these quirks, combined with practical jokes, elaborate pranks, and shared meals, contributed to a vivid, humanized, behind-the-scenes story. Despite the errors and occasional chaos, the cast and crew of Little House on the Prairie maintained a sense of camaraderie and professionalism. These small imperfections and humorous mishaps added to the charm and enduring appeal of a show that continues to captivate audiences decades later. Decades after Little House on the Prairie first aired, its influence remains undeniable. While audiences remember the show for its warm storytelling, wholesome family dynamics, and lessons of perseverance, the behind-the-scenes story paints a richer, more nuanced picture. The cast and crew navigated personal challenges, intense filming schedules, and occasional conflicts, yet their collective dedication brought Wilder's frontier tales to life in a way that continues to resonate. Friendships formed off-screen became one of the show's most enduring legacies. Melissa Gilbert and Allison Arngrim's bond exemplified how playful camaraderie and shared mischief could coexist with professional responsibilities. Together they staged pranks, laughed through long days under heavy costumes, and supported each other through the pressures of child stardom. Their genuine friendship reminded viewers that, behind the polished episodes, real human connections were forming. Meanwhile, Michael Landon's influence extended far beyond his on-screen role as Charles Ingalls. As the creative force driving the show, he shaped storylines, managed production, and provided guidance and mentorship to young actors. Though his personal life experienced turbulence and his health struggles later became severe, Landon's commitment to storytelling and his nurturing presence left a lasting mark. He became a father figure not just to Gilbert, but to many cast members, inspiring loyalty and admiration that persisted long after filming wrapped. The show's production quirks, from bloopers and continuity errors to historical inaccuracies and elaborate pranks, reflect the reality of creating a long-running series. Costumes, reused props, extended storylines, and improvised solutions shaped both the visual and emotional experience of the show. These imperfections, combined with moments of joy, humor, and connection, created a unique behind-the-scenes tapestry that mirrored the imperfect, human stories portrayed on screen. Even with feuds and tensions, the cast and crew shared a collective sense of purpose. The bonds, whether lasting friendships or professional respect, ensured that Little House on the Prairie remained more than just a television show. It became a cultural touchstone. Fans continue to revisit its episodes, celebrate its characters, and discuss the fascinating behind-the-scenes stories that give insight into the real people who made Walnut Grove come alive. Ultimately, the legacy of Little House on the Prairie lies not only in its portrayal of pioneer life, but in the dedication, humor, and humanity of those who brought it to the screen. The show's heart was shaped by laughter and conflict, mentorship and friendship, mistakes and creativity, a testament to the resilience and passion of everyone who worked to make the world of Walnut Grove unforgettable.